Not how I want
do
to
what I want to do.
Oh, I see. That'll work.
No, it always does. It always comes down to this.
Hi, and welcome to Australian Gamers Friday Night Geek Thing.
Geek thing.
Yes,
Geek thing. I'll run with that.
that's what Amy calls it.
All right.
I'm Matt.
I'm Yug.
Tonight we're going to be talking about the fact that Jack Thompson is still a crazy mofo.
Criticism circulating about the PlayStation 3.
Some breaking news. The Xbox 360's latest update is, well, up.
Yeah, and the next gen CEOs speak out.
It makes it sound like there's some vast conspiracy that they're speaking out against. But no, they're just basically
No, they're just
got
speaking
stuff
out.
to say about stuff.
Actually, two main things. The first one is Peter Moore from Microsoft talking about backwards compatibility on the Xbox 360.
We are talking about Peter Moore, not Roger Moore, for anyone who's not sure.
Yeah, not the
Not James Bond.
Now here's a question for you. Who's James Bond?
I'm really iffy. I either have to go for Roger Moore because I've seen more of the movies with him,
Yeah.
or George Lazenby.
Oh
Really.
my God! What? What? Are you serious?
No one knows George Lazenby.
You do. You just said
He was in
George
one. He was the
Lazenby.
Australian.
I know this. So who is the? Roger
Well,
Moore.
I
Roger
mean-
Moore is the one that you.
I either would have to go for Roger Moore or I would have to go for Sean Connery because he was in the earlier ones.
Well, I just find it like when people say, "Who do you think of as Sean Connery?" It's usually one answer. Most people say. Sorry.
Sean Connery.
Who do you see as? Who do you see as James Bond?
Who do you see as Sean Connery? I reckon Keanu Reeves.
Whoa, yeah. Except
Like-
they're Scottish accent.
Like, whoa,
Whoa, whoa.
dude. We're funny.
What were we?
We were talking about James Bond and whether Sean Connery is James Bond.
Okay, but
or,
back before that,
we were talking
where did
about
that come
Peter
from?
Moore,
Peter.
who is not, in fact, Roger Moore.
Right. Peter Moore.
Nor is he Sean Connery.
Peter Moore talking about backwards compatibility with the Xbox 360 and how they kind of really don't care about it
No,
that
don't
much
give a
anymore.
crap.
And you know what? I mean, my personal opinion on that is fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, I understand that Nintendo, for example, has a massive nostalgia factor with backwards compatibility with a lot of their games.
It's easy to say it now. Once you've got a product actually out that's been out for 6 months, that's got some library building up, it's easy to say, who cares about backward compatibility? But when you're on this, like, just before and
The
on launch,
transition sort of thing.
it makes more of a difference.
Yeah, I agree with that. I guess the thing is, I mean, personally, I've got a Xbox 360. I don't play Xbox games
No,
anymore.
no,
and
that's
I
not
find
what
it
it's
difficult
for.
to do it as well. I
Yeah.
just do, unless it's a fantastic game. The only one that I really revisited was Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah?
Just for a little bit, because I
'Cause
thought
you're
it was
a
pretty
geek.
cool.
I like this actual quote. Nobody's concerned about backward compatibility. We under-promised and over-delivered on it. It's a very complicated thing, very blah, blah, blah. He's basically just saying it's too hard to bother.
Yeah. And fine.
Yeah, valid point. No one cares about backward compatibility now.
I can't. I mean, seriously, because the company, there was such a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, the 360 might not be able to emulate, have
Oh,
enough of
yeah.
the software to emulate, the actual games. And
Where were you going with that? It was just the most unfocused little ramble I've heard in a long time, even from you.
I know, as opposed to everything I talk about. Or,
Yeah, but no, I think it was more of a big deal
right.
then than it is now. I think that's kind of, he's able to back off from it now and just say, yeah, whatever.
Just for the record, like we are sort of stretching at things, topics and news
Yeah,
reports to talk about
there's
this week.
just nothing.
Yeah, I mean, we may have been more organised, but to be completely honest, for the last 4 hours, we've spent going around to shopping centres, late night shopping, and buying about $100 to $150 worth of audio equipment to try and give us the ability to have 3 microphones and headphones.
And also just to get the best possible quality, to get the best, to
For
do
the
the best
podcast.
job, and for frankly, the most convenient, because it's a pain in the ass having to crawl around under the desk and plug in new things.
I thought you used to like just crawling
around under the
desks.
desks.
Yeah.
Yes, but normally I have something to do while I'm
Yeah,
down
I
there.
bet you do. But yeah, that all went pear-shaped and absolutely
Nothing
nothing worked.
So we're back to the old school, which is a double adapter job.
Yeah.
The reason we wanted a new system was because we were hoping to get other people in and so on, and
Yeah,
have a bit of a threesome like we did with Rob.
With Rob, and that's postponed from this week to next week now.
Because we bought the little board thingy, and it just doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work.
So
anyway, back to what we were talking about,
which was Roger Moore.
Roger Moore. Well, I mean, just the CEOs talking about stuff.
Yeah.
And the other one was what's his name? The guy from
it's from Sony. Yeah.
Sony talking about saying how he actually likes
Howard Stringer.
He doesn't mind the Xbox 360. Thinks it's a bit of alright.
Likes a bit of a 360. Has quite a lot of respect for the old William of the Gates.
Yeah, and he was basically sort of defending the high price point, saying, the PlayStation 3, it's got more features than a 747.
Yeah, more bells and whistles than a 747. The cell processor is extraordinarily powerful, and you have 9 hours of high definition on the Blu-ray discs alone.
You know what? I question how many bells and whistles
are
actually in a 747 in the first place.
I think we would need to find that out for sure, because I hope there's not too many bells or whistles.
No, I'd like to think
I don't mind a flashing LED to, give a speed alert or
maybe a high-pitched sort of computerized sound to mark warning or something. No.
But if there's an actual bell, especially if it's like a bell tower type bell.
That's right.
That seems unnecessary.
That
doesn't seem like the best way to alert someone.
And I can't imagine, the pilot, if something's wrong, he picks up a whistle and blows into it over the microphone.
You can...
Danger!
I want to see the pilot, instead of going, "This is your captain speaking," actually getting up with one of those bells and coming out and going, "Hear ye, the wings falling off, clang clang." That'd be great. I think that's got a lot more ye olde charm, which is important in modern aircraft.
It could be modern up with the times sort of thing. I mean, maybe that's why they've got the whistles. So they turn on the loud music up in the front cockpit, and one of them's got the whistle, and they're whistling.
What are they seeing the winds of change?
Don't you ever go out? You always find some knob jumping around on the dance floor with a whistle, actually whistling. Yeah, with an actual whistle, whistling along to the actual dance music. The whistle boy is what they're usually called.
Why? Why would you do that? Why not bring a kazoo?
Well, because kazoos aren't as loud over the loud music.
Why would you do that?
Well, because some techno dance songs actually have whistle samples in them, and it's sort of caught on from that.
The whistle is not an instrument. It really isn't. It's a way of alerting runners that it's time to go. That's all it is.
Hey, I'm just... look, I was never one of those people. I'm just saying...
You like them, you respect them, you just wish you could do it.
I don't
You want a whistle. I'm going to buy you a whistle.
Make sure it has streamers off the end of it as well.
Alright, whatever. But Sony CEO Howard Stringer basically thinks the Xbox 360 rules, and he's tried to defend the price. He's been spending a lot of time trying to defend the price of this thing, I think, because everyone's kind of gone, yeah. Yeah, and he's defended it in large part by saying, well, it's going to be cheaper than a Blu-ray player. But to me, that's kind of not really the point.
I mean, I've been hearing so many things about the problems that Sony have been having because of Blu-ray, and this could actually feed into our
nice little
link there about rumors about the PlayStation 3 being really. Was it really difficult to program for?
Well, the difficult to program for was a long-standing thing. I mean, the architecture of it is more complicated and more sort of detailed than the brute force approach of the Xbox 360.
Yep.
I mean, which if programmed for correctly, should be better.
See, I always thought that the Xbox and the Xbox 360 developers felt right at home because it was very similar in architecture to PC games.
Well, that is pretty much why they feel comfortable with it. But it's basically they've got two processors. They just are processors. There's nothing special about them in a 360. But the the PS3
Yep.
has one main processor
Yep.
and a bunch of smaller processors that are optimized for certain types of things. Like there's, for example, a physics processor,
You see,
and there's a sound processor.
it just sounds like, I mean, in a very similar way to what they did with the PlayStation 2, which is like had only 4 meg of, was it 4 meg of graphical RAM?
Yeah,
or
it
something
had
like
very
that,
little graphics RAM, but at the same time, it was never intended to use much of that. It was supposed to be streamed off there.
Yeah, but the problem was that most developers were used to actually using it in that particular way, so they had to and because of that, you didn't really see many
particularly good-looking
games
right from the
until
start.
a bit later on in the development cycle, and I think that's a mistake on Sony's part.
But at the same time, they have market factors involved, like putting more video RAM in it would have made it more expensive and harder to sell. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess they're really banking on Blu-ray, pretty much.
They are actually, and Blu-ray itself's been getting a lot of criticism. The main criticism that's been surfacing lately, though, is that the processor, which apparently runs apparently runs a lot slower than people originally were led to believe. But most particularly, two things: the read speed on the RAM is horrendously slow. It's 1/250th of the write speed.
Right.
And in fact, some official Sony specs had the words, "No, this is not a misprint," written underneath the speed of the read speed.
Okay, so even they realise it.
Even they seem to realise that because people would have expected it to be closer to 40 gig when it's actually 16 meg.
I mean, even though you're saying all this stuff, I'm not all that phased because it's
just numbers.
It is just numbers.
Just bear with me for 2 seconds then. The other main really bad problem is that the graphics components are only capable of basically a half the polygon count of the PlayStation, of the Xbox 360.
Really?
Not more, but in fact substantially less.
Yeah, that's a significant
and if
amount.
you look at a few things that bear that up, for example, what was the video that they showed in E3 last year? Not Killzone, but there was another one, the war one, Wings of War,
Winds of is that
the one they used to demo the
moving Warhawk
Any of our listeners would probably know the game, even though we don't. But in any case, the demo that they showed of that in E3 was pre-rendered, and it had like planes everywhere, heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of stuff and action and blah blah blah. The demo that they showed when they were previewing the little twisty turny, yay, look at this controller thing, was almost empty, and apparently the reason is it just can't handle stuff happening. There's just not enough polygons in the system to actually be able to draw and anywhere near as much stuff as the pre-renders.
Where were you reading this from? Because it sounds very like fanboyish. Oh, there weren't that many actual.
It was from the Inquirer. Apparently, there was a PlayStation 3 developers conference, and
where was the developers conference?
It was an official Sony one. I think it was in Japan, but it might have been somewhere in the US.
Yep.
And people on the plane were apparently comparing notes. One of the guys, basically, he ended up just saying, the PlayStation 3 is shit.
I guess the reason is that I'm just sort of taking most of this, not so much with a grain of salt, but is because it's going to come down to the games, and
on paper the PS2 was never the best.
No.
By comparison to the Xbox, it's not as good, and really in the end that didn't make much of a difference. So it's possible. I said in the comments when I talked about this on the site, it's entirely possible that it won't make no difference, but it is discouraging to hear such bad reports.
Well, mainly because the thing with the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox was that you looked at cross-platform compatibility with games, and the Xbox was always better. But it just not by all that much, sort of thing.
No.
Like, if I had Tony Hawk on the Xbox and my friend had Tony Hawk on the PlayStation 2, there was no bragging rights over, hey, yeah, man, my version of Tony Hawk's heaps better than yours, because it wasn't. It was, there may have been a little bit of slowdown here and there, but you wouldn't have noticed it. So as long as the PlayStation 3 is still
Yeah,
fairly
but the
similar,
concern is not that it will be close. The concern is that it'll be twice as expensive and half as good.
I doubt it'll be to that point, but that is a worry.
That is apparently the concern that a lot of people are having at this point. That's
what Sony have to do. They have to get through this price barrier, because it's unfortunate, because the hardcore gamers are the ones that are going to go for it initially, but if the specs aren't up to scratch, then they're going to hold off on actually getting it, I would imagine. Is that...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some other news that just came to light.
Breaking news.
Late breaking news.
Late breaking news that Matt has found while he was just browsing on the internet while I was talking and
yeah.
trying to...
See how annoying that is? No, I was actually trying to find a bit more information about the article that I was reading that was talking about the thing, so I could give a better idea of sources. But in any case, apparently the pricing for the Wii's classic games, have been announced, and they should be less than $10 US.
Define classic games.
All the stuff that they were looking at,
back catalogue of games, or...
Yeah, the back catalogue stuff, not the new stuff, but what they call the virtual console pricing.
Yeah, hold on a second. So you're saying, like, if I want Donkey Kong Country that was on the Super Nintendo, I'm going to be paying $10 US for it?
Less than, so yeah, probably here, maybe 15 to 20. I don't actually think that's too bad, though.
I do.
Well, you can enjoy.
No, seriously, I think for all their games that they've got, they really should actually price it a bit cheaper.
Another thing is that's yen. That's actually 500 yen, which works out to... Oh, hang on. There we go. Which works out to between... I guess so it's 500 yen to about 1,000 yen, which works out to US $4.50 to $9.
Okay, that's
at a maximum of $9. And yen often doesn't... prices in yen often don't translate to what their exchange rate would.
But also,
Japanese prices are often quite high.
Also, don't forget that usually whatever the US price is when it comes to Europe and
Australia,
we tend to.
But my point is, if it is 1,000 yen, it might well not be US $9. It might actually be US $7.50.
Yeah.
Which could well end up being like less than 15 here, which I don't think is bad if that's at the top end, especially.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, some of those games, and you might not want to pay that for Excitebike.
Yeah.
But
for like Legend of Zelda.
Exactly. Would you pay that for Mario 64?
But yeah, okay, fair enough. If you wanted to play, but that comes back to the would you want to actually play games? You know, the backwards compatibility of a system for playing games. Nintendo are just different in that respect from Xbox and stuff. What your eyes are, you've gone all vacant.
Yeah, I was reading the forum actually. I'm actually liking this forum thing. I think it's working out pretty well.
Yeah,
it gives people more of a chance to talk, and basically means we have to do less work, which I'm always for.
Have you even posted in the forums yet? Just
checking.
I
have posted a couple of things.
Yeah, just checking. Just
pretty much anything WoW related I've posted.
Yeah. Actually, my favourite topic at the moment, I gotta say, is that one where it was Flying Fridge actually started the best games of all time. Because we've already done our top 50.
Done our opinion, so.
But it's more of a based on topics, so as in categories. So like, you know, the best game of all time, best multiplayer, best strategy, and the Darren Hinch award.
Nice.
The shame, which I thought was very Australian. I thought that was appropriate.
And there's also the award for the Rex Hunt Award, which is the best game where you get to have sex with prostitutes.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and then cry about it on the radio.
That'd be Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto is the only option, and it should be a shoe-in.
But yeah, no, forum's going well. You know, there's people in there. They're talking. I like the fact that Matt's individual forum is just about questioning his sexuality.
There is only one thread in my forum, and that's
called
Matt's a fag.
Yes.
Which is nice.
I thought that's appropriate. But yeah, no, I'm glad that's going well. If anyone's got any problems, let AJ know.
If anyone's having any, any
let
Firefox,
AJ, Oracle, tell them all about it.
They'll fix it right up.
Yeah, that's right.
If anyone has any Firefox issues ongoing, I've actually gotten in to fix a lot of them, but I'm having trouble getting it to update. It seems to want to cache. So,
well, I made a thread about that, and there are a couple of people that replied.
Yeah, I know how to fix the bugs. I've been trying, and I've fixed the worst ones, but it's not updating the fix, like it's cached or something. So I'm still looking into that. Basically, my point is, if you are having a problem with Firefox and it's an ongoing problem that you still have, shut the hell up and leave me alone. I don't care. I guess that's kind of what it comes down to.
And this is why we should all abuse Matt.
Yeah, that's one of so many reasons. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to fix it, but
you're useless.
I'm not useless. Well, no, I can't go anywhere with that. It is true.
Did we actually have anything else to?
We did actually. I thought we had another topic.
Jack Thompson, crazy.
Jack Thompson, and this still crazy after all these years.
You know, I mean, this topic never gets old.
No,
really.
It doesn't.
Because it's.
Have we all heard the latest on the Jack Thompson saga?
You made a post about it, but I never read what you.
No, and rightly so. Basically, Jack Thompson. There was a shooting. An old man who got around on a walker, I believe. I could be confusing my horrible stories.
A scooter, maybe.
No, it was a guy who got around on one of those Segway. No, a guy who got around on one of those walkers. 50-year-old man in a mobile home trailer thingy.
Yep.
And one of his neighbours, who clearly, because he was a neighbour to a guy in a trailer park,
right,
was clearly a cool dude right from the start.
Yes.
Asked to borrow his car, and the guy wouldn't let him, so he shot him in the face, as you do. I do repeatedly, and was arrested. And of course, Jack Thompson has decided that clearly this child is a video gamer. Therefore,
no, wasn't it? He's either a video
gamer.
Yeah.
The justification he used for this assumption is that nobody shoots someone in the face unless they're a video gamer or a criminal or a hitman. A hitman or or a video gamer. Which I think is
what
really.
What if you're a video gamer that plays like?
What
Hitman?
if you're a video gaming assassin?
Yeah.
Which I would be. Like, I'd play Hitman all the time. Yeah. If I was a Hitman.
That's sort of like the assassin simulation game sort of thing.
It is a murder simulator.
It is a murder simulator. Yeah. This is
how
you do it.
You know what I reckon assassins really play?
No, what?
Mario 64.
Yoshi Touch and Go.
Yeah. There's no relevance. It's just a good game, and I just think they'd have good taste in games. I reckon they'd go for the classics.
No, fair enough. I don't know how you jumped to that conclusion.
No, I just think they would.
I'm not going to argue just in case you shoot me in the face.
Which is tempting.
I just don't.
He's just so crazy. And basically what he's done is he's told the local, I think Arkansas sheriff's agency, that they should search the boy's house for video games. Which I actually find bizarre that he can do that.
Everyone, when you get a chance, and I was telling Matt this, go to wikipedia.org, look up Jack Thompson, and read up about him, because I found it really interesting where he actually came from, and his background and history. And his background and history is all just about going after massive cases and just basically trying to get into the public spotlight more.
Yeah, he is
be over the top. His personality has actually come into question. His sanity has come into question multiple times by the justice system itself, not by actual people.
There's been a lot of calls to have him disbarred, and which, in case Yug doesn't know what that word means, it means making him unbeing a lawyer.
My worry is not actually Jack Thompson. If he wants to be a nutcase,
there's plenty of nutcases.
My worry is the families, the parents, the uninformed, who have this vision of video games in their head, the same vision that they have of or any medium which is affecting their children, that are going to believe him because he has a voice the voice that they want to hear, sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. He's the voice of the crazies, and that if he's representing their view, he will push their view further to the extreme.
I wouldn't say the crazies, and that's the issue.
Yeah,
he's not the voice of the crazy people. He's the voice of the people who are genuinely concerned.
Yeah, no, I do agree.
And anyone who is genuinely concerned are more likely to listen to his extreme ranting than to someone actually saying, you have nothing to be concerned about.
But the problem is, who is saying that? Who is out there saying, you know what, video games are just a blah, 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 blah. Yes, there are, there's Penny Arcade constantly saying that, Game Politic, GameSpot.
But they are places that are read by gamers.
Exactly. Who's actually in the mainstream saying, you know what, it's not that big a deal?
I don't know.
I think the problem is nobody. There's 1,000 people who would like to. If 60 Minutes wants me on for an interview, I'll give one. But nobody the media does not want that side of the story. It's not interesting.
But it's more a case of, I mean, if someone goes out there and says, listen, I think video games are fantastic. I endorse video games. Most people already know that sort of thing. It's not something that needs to be reinforced. I mean, you've got famous actors and stars and stuff who talk about the games that they play, and play Xbox or they play PlayStation 2 or multiplayer games and stuff like that. It's a very socially acceptable pastime and things like that. So you don't really need people out there arguing.
No, but it would be nice still to see balanced discussion on. I've read reports by one particular guy who's like a new media expert in the US, and he was on the Donahue show, and he actually
is that the guy with the white hair?
Yeah, yeah.
Got it.
And he was on there. He was told he would be just discussing games and blah blah blah, and they absolutely ambushed him with a whole bunch of emotional games of murder simulators kind of rhetoric. They just went off at him, and they had no time for any discussion. They gave him no impression of what he was going to be talking about. And he's one of the, I found his stuff really interesting.
Yeah.
And his comments really interesting and very, very it wasn't even that he was just games are fine, don't worry about it. He was like, yes, there are some concerns. We need to understand this. This can have this effect, blah, blah. He was very informed and very open-minded. And that was great to see, because we don't need a bunch of 16-year-olds jumping up and down going, you noob.
Yeah.
You are a loser.
Yeah.
With, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, one. That's not helpful.
All the violence and issues of actual... video games actually causing people to act in a certain way. My actual main concern with video games, and one that I think isn't being addressed and should be addressed, is actually one of people becoming actually antisocial because of them. As in, kids growing up on video games and actually staying that way, not actually getting out.
But at the same time, it's easy to say that, and I do agree that is a problem. But there was always that problem with books as well. Kids sitting in their room and reading books, or kids sitting in their room and watching TV or watching movies. Or
yes,
there are always going to be kids who are social and kids who are not.
But it's not to the same extent.
I disagree.
There's just something about a movie finishes, or that end sort of thing, or a book.
Yeah.
End of finish.
But there's always another book. When I was a kid, I read all the time.
Yeah, that explains a lot.
It does, and it's pretty much why I have no social skills now. But I was never going to be one of those kids who goes, you know what, I'm finished my book, I'm going to go out and play cricket. I was just not that kind of kid.
I never went out and played cricket.
But the games weren't a big deal then. There weren't as many games. We certainly didn't have a game system when I was a kid.
Really?
No.
That's right, you're old, aren't you?
I'm old, man. They didn't have electricity when I was a kid. But, that didn't make me antisocial. The fact that I was an ugly nerd probably was a factor.
Maybe not so much antisocial. I just,
I do agree. I do think that there's...
that's my main... That's the only thing that I think actually needs to be addressed in some way or form.
I also think the inactivity is a factor. That even when children are being social... 8, 9, 10 kids sitting around playing
games.
they're still sitting around. They're
Yeah,
not
that's
outside. I think that's a factor. And I think there's other. I think, for example, the issue of gender roles in games, for example. The just horrifically stereotypical female roles, particularly.
Yeah.
Are the sort of things that maybe not should be addressed, because I don't think they're necessarily destructive, but probably we can do better than that. Probably largely a problem because so many of the games come from Japan, where they have a good idea of the place of women.
Yeah, that's right. They have a really good concept of female anatomy as well. Make sure it's as realistic as possible.
Realistic like a Barbie doll.
Yes.
But yeah.
Realistic physics.
Yes. So just a bit more on the actual case. The
Thompson case.
Yeah, sorry, the Jack Thompson case, not the Barbie doll case.
Not the Australian actor, by the way, just to clarify.
Yeah, we clarify that every time because we think it's funny every time.
It is. I've actually always got this image. Whenever anyone talks about Jack Thompson, crazy guy, I just have Jack Thompson, the actor.
I can see someone going for an interview with him. So, you had the Louisiana police investigate blah, 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 blah.
No.
What?
No, I'm an Australian actor, actually.
Yes.
Anyway, go on. What were you talking about?
Do you know Jack Thompson was originally selected for the part of that Hugo Weaving took in The Matrix?
In The Matrix?
He was originally going to be
the agent Smith. Agent Smith.
He was originally cast as Agent Smith, but he didn't get the part.
I'm kind of glad he didn't.
And, yeah, it's just a bit weird.
I gotta say, Hugo Weaving was probably the best part of the last couple of movies.
He really, really was one of the few good parts.
He was the most human of all the characters,
which
he was the
funny.
machine.
Yeah, which is very unfortunate. But when you are acting opposite Keanu Reeves, you do have an advantage.
It's not hard to show emotion.
Yeah, no, he's...
Whoa, why am I here? Why is this happening? What am I doing? What's the point of it all? Dude. Why am I asking so many questions? Why don't I just shut up?
Yeah, do that.
I know.
But yeah, anyway, back to Jack Thompson, not the Australian actor.
Australian actor, yeah.
Miami lawyer. It was Louisiana that all this occurred, and according to Thompson, published reports that the 16-year-old confessed to police, blah, 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 wouldn't let him borrow the car, followed the same scenario as Grand Theft Auto. I remember a lot of the time going to someone in Grand Theft Auto, going to someone's mobile home and asking to borrow their car, and then when they refused, shooting them in the face. That's pretty much what the game was about.
Actually,
it was actually called Grand Borrow Auto.
I don't remember there being a mechanic in the game before you actually throw someone out of their car and jump in it yourself, to be able to actually go, hey.
Excuse me, could
I borrow your car?
Possibly borrow the car?
No? Okay. Bang! Yeah. And then jump in.
No, it's quite ridiculous, and it's quite distinctly the opposite of the scenario in Grand Theft Auto.
Actually, Grand Theft Auto is a lot worse than what he's describing, but okay.
What was quite funny, actually, was the cop, when asked about it, basically said that he didn't even think that video games were responsible. He's just... And it seems so obvious that Thompson's gone, check for games, 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 and the cops have just gone, yeah, whatever. Yeah. But it's actually good to know, because I was worried about him. I was worried that he was that he'd either gone sane somehow, or that he was doing something different. I don't know. I was just worried, the poor boy. He's been quiet lately, and there's been no craziness.
Well, there you go. Here's the craziness. It's
the craziness is back, and it's good to see.
Yeah. Good old Jackie.
Hitmen.
Reliable.
Hitmen and video gamers. I like the fact that that's like the same thing to him.
Yeah.
People who kill people for a living and people who play video games. And it's all the same.
You know what that means, everyone? If you play video games, you'll grow up to become an assassin.
Which I think we can all agree is awesome.
Is that?
The only thing cooler than being a hitman when you grow up is being a ninja. Because, like, cool pajamas, seriously.
How cool would it be? I never did that. I wish I'd done that as a kid. Said, like, what do you want to be when you grow up?
A ninja. An astronaut ninja.
An assassin.
Yeah.
I want to be a hitman when I grow up and kill people for money.
Yeah.
And the teacher would have gone, here's $10.
Yeah.
Little Johnny in the corner there.
No, my bastard ex-husband. Messy divorce is about to get messier.
Yeah. No, we should go.
Yeah, we should, because we're done with that. But we hope to have more craziness soon from Jack Thompson, and now that he's back in the public eye, he'll probably fight to say crazier and crazier things to stay in the public eye again.
Yeah.
He really likes it, and I can understand that.
Yeah.
Probably someone will make a reasonable comment at some point saying, it's possible that video games were not a factor in this scenario, and he'll jump up and down and go, you noobs. I'm pretty sure he calls people noobs.
And then he'll say, well, why don't you create a video game based on this scenario of people...
The frustrating thing to me is that he's said that they're gamers, and the simple fact is they probably are.
Yeah. Because,
like, who isn't? How many teenage boys at 16 are not gamers?
Yeah.
And yes, they probably play violent games because, like, 80% of games are violent, so therefore, like, unless they only play The Sims, they play violent video games. Therefore, that proves his whole theory.
Yeah.
But by the same argument, as I said in the comments, you could make the same thing that all murderers have hot and cold running water at home, or wear a watch.
So that's what causes them to
It must
murder
be.
people. It's
clearly watches, because look, that guy killed someone and he's wearing a watch, so it must have been the watch.
What brand of watch?
It's probably the Seiko ones that's the problem. But you've got to watch the Swatch.
Yep, got to watch the Swatch.
You do.
Okay.
You got to watch the Swatch watch. I'm not sure which watch. I'm not
not
sure which Swatch watch you should watch.
Okay. This has gone beyond retarded.
Yeah, we've overstepped the retarded boundary that we set for ourselves. We've also run a little overtime, but that's alright because we're awesome. We're always running overtime.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for tuning in. We will see you next week. Things will be a bit more structured, and we'll have a special guest in.
Will we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as we can actually sort
As long as we can establish the 3 people technology, or we might just have 2 of us with a mic and 1 of us without a mic, and just every now and then we'll just stop and laugh and go, yeah, what? Good work.
That's funny.
Yeah, true. Yeah. True, everyone.
Okay. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Alright, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.